For nearly 3 hours, the cameras inside Halverson Reese Preparatory recorded a 16-year-old boy talking to empty air, laughing at replies no microphone ever caught, and once holding a classroom door open for someone who never walked through it. The boy's name was Emerick Dolan. On the second Monday of October, he arrived at 7:42 after a night of studying for a chemistry exam. He was certain he would fail. Cold morning. Frost on the bike rack. He remembered the smell of floor wax in the east stairwell because the custodial crew had stripped the tiles over the weekend. He sat through first and second period. During the third, a lecture on ionic bonds, he fell asleep. When he woke, the room was empty. He assumed the bell had rung, but his backpack was still open on the desk, his pencil exactly where it had fallen, and the teacher's coffee sat steaming beside the smartboard. Emerick stepped into the hallway, expecting the crush of the lunch period. Nothing. Every classroom door stood open. Lights on. In one room, a half-eaten sandwich sat on a napkin, the bite marks still glossy. Lockers hung ajar. A calculator lay face up in the middle of the corridor, its screen still lit with an unfinished equation. His phone showed no bars, not one. He walked the entire first floor calling names. His friend Priya, his homeroom teacher Mr. Okonkwo-Sattler, the vice principal. His voice came back to him flat, absorbed by the tile. That was when he noticed the clocks. The digital displays mounted above each doorway had all stopped at 10:19 and 41 seconds. Everyone. Same minute, same second. The main entrance was locked. Through the glass he saw the parking lot, and the parking lot was bare. No cars, no buses. The exterior gates, which he had walked through that morning, were now chained from the outside. He tried the west doors, then the gymnasium exit. Both sealed. Then the small things began. A locker he had passed shut was open when he returned. A water fountain switched itself on down a hallway he had already cleared, running steadily. And above him, on the second floor, he knew was empty. Footsteps crossed from one end of the building to the other. In room 211, every chair had been turned to face the door. On the whiteboard, in block letters, someone had written the time 10:19, the exact minute he had woken. Emerick hid in a second-floor storage closet among boxes of copier paper. He waited. Eventually he heard footsteps approaching, slow, stopping at each classroom. Through the gap in the door he watched a figure move down the hall. It wore the grey uniform of school security, but a hood covered the face. It paused at each doorway, leaned in, looked and moved on, searching. When it turned toward the far stairs, Emerick climbed through the storage room window onto the maintenance roof, dropped 8 feet to the loading dock and ran to the gas station on the corner of Feldspar Avenue. The clerk called it in at 10:58. Here the account should have ended with a frightened kid and an ordinary school. Officers arrived expecting a prank, maybe a fire drill nobody logged. Instead, they found the building exactly as Emerick described it. Open lockers, the running fountain, the turned chairs in 211, and the writing on the board, which the day's substitute later swore had been blank when she left. The first working theory was simple. A lockdown drill, poorly communicated, that emptied the school while Emerick slept, and a security guard doing rounds who frightened a disoriented teenager. That theory lasted until they pulled the footage. The cameras confirmed Emerick wandering the halls for 2 hours and 51 minutes. But the halls were not empty in the way a drill would leave them. They were empty of everyone except him. No students, no teachers, no staff, and no security guard. The figure Emerick described never appeared on a single frame. The corridor outside the storage closet stayed vacant the entire time he crouched inside it, watching something walk past. What the footage did show was stranger. Emerick turning to speak to people who were not there, nodding, once stepping aside politely, his mouth moving in conversation, then pausing, as though listening. An officer named Danya Brevik Lund compared the roster against attendance. That morning the school had never been full. A regional teacher training day had cleared out most of the students and staff. Only 43 people were on site, and every one of them had left the building by 9:50, well before Emerick woke. He had spent 3 hours alone. Brevik Lund began identifying the people Emerick named. Priya, Mr. Okonkwo-Sattler, the others he insisted he had spoken to in the halls. None of them had been at school that day, and 4 of them could not have been. A former student, a retired teacher, 2 others. Each had died, the most recent one 19 months earlier, the oldest almost a decade back. The case was closed as a stress-induced dissociative episode. Emerick transferred to a private academy 2 towns over. He does not speak about that morning. The clocks at Halverson Reese were replaced during winter break. The maintenance work order lists the reason for removal as a synchronized system fault. All units frozen at an identical timestamp. 10, 19 and 41 seconds. The same second Emmerich woke. The same second an entire building's clocks had already stopped, hours before he opened his eyes.